Welcome to Turnover Tactics, the brand new 6-part series from Host Planet and Turno. If the time between guest stays feels like a chaotic scramble, you are not alone. Turnover is often the biggest bottleneck in any short-term rental business. It's where reviews are won or lost and where profit either flows or leaks away. Over the next 6 episodes, we're giving you the complete professional blueprint for mastering this critical phase of operations. We'll show you how to automate your scheduling, guarantee quality control, and build a reliable team so you can scale your business without the stress. In this episode, Turno's Director of Partnerships, Cristina Vascil, will discuss how to build the ultimate STR tech stack. Turnover Tactics is brought to you in collaboration with Turno, the all-in-one cleaning and turnover management platform built specifically for short-term rental hosts. If you've ever scrambled to find a reliable cleaner or wasted hours managing schedules, Turno changes everything. With their global cleaner marketplace, automated scheduling, and real-time updates, you'll never stress about turnovers again. Whether you manage one property or 100, Turno helps you stay guest-ready effortlessly. Simply scan the QR code if you're watching on YouTube or click the link in the show notes to get started. It's time you let Turno take over. Cristina, thank you for joining us on Turnover Tactics. When we talk about a tech stack for STR professionals, what do we actually mean?
Yeah, I would say when we're talking about your tech stack, we are talking about a bunch of different connected systems that are running everything from your reservations to your operations. So think like your cleaning, your housekeeping, your maintenance piece, to the financials and owner payouts and all of that. It is not just a bunch of apps or features that you have patching up a different pain points. It really is just different tools that are coming together and effectively communicating with each other. And when we break this down a little bit further, the number one thing is going to be the source of truth. So like your PMS and your channel manager. If you're managing like 1 to 2 properties, typically all you really need as your source of truth is like the main distribution platform. So in most cases, it's like Airbnb and then your operations piece. But once you get to a certain property count, it is first things first, your PMS or your channel manager. Most cases, especially in today's age, your PMS is your channel manager. Then you have your operations tool. So like a Turno, running everything from inspections, cleaning, maintenance, the repair components, all of that communicating effectively with your PMS, to then your guest experience tools, so your guest messaging. In a lot of cases, your PMS will have the messaging piece already built in, but in some cases, that's not true. So messaging super important, especially just because your ratings on the channels rely on that, just with how fast you're responding to your guests, to your digital guidebooks. So any upselling features that you're doing or recommending things to your guests, that lives there. Your property access, so how they access your property from gate codes to the actual unit itself with door codes. I even see like smart thermostats. That is part of it also. And then other functionalities like your dynamic pricing tools. So shout out to a couple of them just being like Wheelhouse, Price Labs, Beyond Pricing, like having that also really important, especially when you're thinking about competition and being competitive in certain markets, to payment processing, accounting, reporting, quality control tools that also help out. But all of these different pieces are part of your tech stack that is unique to every single host and has its own strategy within itself. But these are all the tools that are part of that and helping day-to-day operations.
I think you've just explained it really well there, and it just goes to show there is so much tech out there, and new tech is being created all the time for the STR space. What problem does a proper tech stack actually solve for hosts, do you think?
It solves so many headaches and the stress that can come about managing everything on your own. So, just a proper tech stack is really going to help reduce the manual coordination that it takes to do everything, as well as possible operational risks. Something that I actually used to be a PMS consultant before my time at Turno. So I worked with so many hosts that the number one thing they would come to me was, I'm here today having this conversation because I am experiencing so many double reservations and I need to eliminate that. And a proper tech stack that is communicating to each other, has the right integrations, and there's no delay or lag times or anything like that, is helping reduce the amount of double bookings that hosts are seeing, the amount of missed cleans that can be occurring. It's giving them the opportunity to have faster response times to their guests. It's a lot less putting out fires, and it's just creating proper systems in place so you can start focusing on other areas of your business, like a marketing strategy or reaching out to new owners.
Yeah, absolutely. Putting those proper systems in place. And that often involves a lot of automation. I mean, a lot of these tech tools, they're trying to save you time and money, basically. But when it comes to automation, what do you think the biggest misconception is that hosts have about automation?
Yeah, I would hear this all the time. It was I thought if I bought this tool, I was just going to set it and forget it. I wasn't going to have to like spend time in it still, and that's not true. And especially in this industry, that's one of the beautiful things about our industry is there's that human touch, right? And automation isn't supposed to completely replace that. Automation is supposed to help make things quieter, make your day to day easier, but it is still supposed to it's supposed to give you time back at the end of the day. I was working with a host who, before they started using Turno, they were spending anywhere from like 10 to 12 hours on the manual coordination of the operations piece. Like they had the PMS tool, but the PMS tool didn't have the proper operations piece. So they were still spending so much time. And when they implemented an automations tool like Turno, it actually reduced the amount of time they were spending weekly from 1 to 2 hours. But they still had to go in and just make sure things were good, make sure their team had everything that they needed, answered any questions. It was just giving them those 10 hours back so they could like go focus on other parts of their business.
Let's talk about scaling and maybe the breaking point now. I mean, at what point does managing properties manually start to break down?
I used to, this is a good question just because I used to consult with properties under that 50 unit threshold on the PMS side. And the 1 to 2 units, they were safe, right? They were still obviously doing things manually. All they really needed to focus on was reservation coming in, turning at the property. But where you started to see things really start to break down was at the 3 to 5 property count. And the reason being is because they had multiple properties and now they were no longer just on Airbnb. They were on Airbnb, they were on VRBO, they were on Booking, and now they were implementing a direct booking strategy. So they had a multi distribution operation with all of those properties incorporated into it. So that's where it was like, okay, now I'm juggling multiple calendars. Now I'm juggling multiple cleaners for these properties. And maybe there's now same day turnovers. That's when everything just started to become a little bit more chaotic. And when they were having to find something that was allowing them to scale and continue accepting new properties.
I can completely believe this as a host myself. What do you think are the first warning signs that a host has outgrown, probably using spreadsheets and WhatsApp groups?
The first warning sign, I would say, is the back and forth communication with your team, or not knowing, like, I could have sworn I sent this message, or I could have sworn I saw that we confirmed that this property was turned, but now I can't find that message. So it's the back and forth of confirming or receiving notifications about the status of a property. That is a big warning sign that it doesn't need to be that chaotic, right? There should just be one area where you can go and confirm those details. because that also makes you a little bit more of a micromanager with your team. I was at a conference last year in Arizona, probably one of my favorite conferences here in the States. And I was speaking with this host who was going back and forth with her cleaner actually on payments. The cleaner, who was her number one cleaner, was like, "Hey, I haven't been paid in the last month. Could I be paid?" And the host was right in front of me. She's like, "I could have sworn I paid her." Like, she was going through text messages, she was going through emails, she was going through just everything trying to find this payment. And what ended up happening was the host had actually paid another cleaner, thinking it was this cleaner that she owed money to. So she had paid this one cleaner in advance. And she was, in fact, behind a month on this one cleaner. And that was a big red flag during that conversation was, okay, you've missed a clean on a really good cleaner. So now there's a possibility you lose this cleaner. But the big thing is now you have to do a bulk sum payout. And did your budget allow for that? Were you expecting that? Did you use those funds already to maybe purchase something for the property? Like, do you even have those funds available? And this all could have been eliminated if if she had implemented something already to prevent that. So she was definitely ready for that next phase of growth.
Definitely, yeah. With automations and systems, it would have prevented it. And I was thinking as well there, I think a sign that you're growing is that, if you're using WhatsApp and spreadsheets and this kind of thing, if you need to contact your cleaner about a turnover and you forget to do it, and then a guest arrives and the clean hasn't been done, that's probably a surefire thing as well, to notice that you need a bit of help. You need a bit of tech and automation. Moving into like the PMS side of things, and we've touched on this a bit, Cristina, but it's worth, I think, reiterating, why should the PMS be the foundation for any serious operator out there?
I'd say your PMS is your source of truth. It is seriously the backbone of your operations. Like when you log in for the day, you're logging into your PMS and you're seeing typically like a main dashboard that's saying, here are all the reservations I have for the day. Here are the reservations for the week, the turnovers, maybe maintenance or problems that I need to get addressed. It is that one source of truth that is setting you up for the day. And then everything from that is complementing it. So especially if you're wanting to kind of take hosting to the next level, having that one area just to see everything is really going to set you up for success.
So what actually goes wrong in real life when calendars, cleanings and systems don't sync? I'm thinking here that, those hosts and property managers out there who've got a few properties, they know that they need tech, but maybe haven't taken that leap yet. What's happening? What are they experiencing?
Yeah, I think what they're probably experiencing is they are the tech that's keeping it all together, which isn't something you want to do long term. It's probably extremely stressful and chaotic. They are the workflow at the end of the day. So I think for starters, even before you go into calendars to the cleanings and the rest of the systems, I'm thinking about like, okay, where the reservations are coming from, like Airbnb, VRBO, Booking, if that is not effectively communicating with your calendar, there's a possibility you're then missing reservations. There's a possibility of a double reservation that is occurring. And if a guest is showing up to your property when another guest is there, you're then probably having to pay out of pocket to put them in a hotel or find another property to put them in, which it's very likely you're going to receive a negative review from, which can kind of hurt your business. And it's hard to bounce back from that. So that's kind of like the first issue that I think about. And then from there, if it is effectively communicating that, but then your calendar isn't communicating to your turnover system like Turno, then there's a possibility of, okay, well then your cleaners aren't getting the updates that they need. Like maybe they needed to arrive a little bit earlier to a property just because they did an early check-in, late checkout. Or they're arriving now late to the property, which you don't want your cleaners bumping into your guests. They typically don't like that. And then, bookings are not triggering the correct operational updates that are needed. Payments aren't clearing on time. You're chasing information from guests as well. all of these things need to be communicating effectively, just so you're not going back and forth and seeing what is missing.
100%. Yeah. I mean, the last thing you want is that call from a guest saying, "Hey, your place hasn't been cleaned." When there is help out there, there's automations out there that can make sure that that's happened. So, what does a good integration unlock that most hosts underestimate, do you think?
I would say the easiest thing is it helps with automatic job creation. If a booking does change, I would say a lot less manual handoffs. Once those reservations are coming in and everything's communicating effectively to another, it's automatically creating those turnovers for you with all of the details that the cleaner is going to need. So it's a lot less back and forth. And all you're really having to do is answer any questions that they might have or confirming any last minute details that they're needing. It's also supporting with consistent data. So, like, what are the dates of the stay? How many guests are going to be arriving? Any notes that they provided you with? It's just helping you set the right expectations and a lot less micromanaging. And everyone wants to feel like they're doing a good job and they're owning what they're doing. And the last thing they want to do is feel like they're being micromanaged. And so those integrations and like that proper tech stack is really solving for that.
Yeah, and I would really encourage people out there. I mean, I've been there myself using, WhatsApp, manually replying to guests all the time. You would be
Mhm.
amazed at how much automation can save you time and just make your life just a bit calmer and a bit easier. It's just going to make life easier for you as a property manager. All right then, Christina. So, I mean, as we've kind of discussed, there is so much tech out there, but what's the difference between just adding more tools every week, every month, and actually designing a proper system that suits you as a host?
I'd say the main difference is if you're just adding a bunch of tools just because you have an immediate pain point that needs to be solved, you could just be creating a lot more noise and a lot more tabs that you then have to go in and manage versus kind of taking a step back and designing something that works for your business. And this question makes me think about a property manager that I consulted with in Gulf Shores, Alabama. And when they originally came to me, they had 11 different tools. Granted, they had less than 50 properties. They had 11 different tools that they were using. And in some cases, these tools actually had an overlap. And so in the initial conversation, I'm like, okay, tell me your entire tech stack today. Tell me what this was solving for, how much time you spend in it, and let's see like what we can eliminate. Um, and what we learned was they were just looking for a quick patch of the specific pain point they were going through in that season. And in some cases, they weren't even using it. They were actually just continuously paying for a subscription that they no longer needed. Um, and we were able to then kind of sit down and say, okay, let's look at all of your top 5 pain points. What can we solve with the PMS? And then what can we solve with the other tools that you are needing that will complement it?
Yeah, 100%. I think you've probably answered this question, but I mean, how can a host tell if a tool deserves to be in their tech stack? I mean, doing that review and realizing that you're not using something but still paying a monthly fee for it, I mean, that's a pretty good place to start.
Yeah. I would, there's a couple questions you need to ask yourself, right? Is this tool, obviously, like, you have your PMS system at this point, but the additional tools that you're bringing on, then you need to think about, okay, is this tool helping me remove a repeated manual step that I'm doing, especially one that is like super time consuming? Is this doing it? Yes or no? Then from there, it's okay, does it integrate with my PMS and communicate the way that I need it to do? If it doesn't, let me go find another tool. Or if it has a little bit of a lag time, maybe there's a different tool. But that is a big piece, because if they are not integrated correctly to each other, then you're having to manually do that outside, which is probably going to cause a lot more headaches. And then another thing would probably be, would it still work as I continue growing and scaling my business? You don't want to just implement a tool that helps you at 5 properties. You want to think, if you're really wanting to continue growing, is when I get to 10 properties, is this tool still going to help me effectively? Because I want to repeat those processes so I can continue just growing my portfolio a lot easier than having to start over at 10.
Looking ahead then, what should serious operators be building towards now in order to stay competitive?
I'm not going to be the one who like super hypes up AI. Like I'm seeing it all over social, but I do think AI is important just because like we are seeing more adoption amongst short-term rental managers and operators as a whole. Something I'm looking at from that perspective is how is that going to help with like the guest communications component and the operational piece. So I'm really excited to see AI read messages and then immediately like it can see a message from a guest that says like, hey, the bathroom was still a little bit dirty. Well, then AI creates a task that notifies the cleaner and they can like go in and offer to clean it up, or maybe it's afterwards, but it's creating those automatic tasks already so that we don't have to then go back in and do that manually on our own.
I think that would be great. Yeah. I mean, if the cleaning team is alerted straight away when any guest mentions anything related to cleaning, I think that would be really, really useful. So I'm looking forward to seeing that soon. Finally, then, Cristina, I mean, what do the best operators consistently get right across different markets? And I'm sure you've seen some great examples of people utilizing tech with all the different property managers that you've worked with over the years.
I'd say the best operators, what they consistently get correct every single time is they have the right tech stack in place, right? They've thought about their overall operations and they're not just patching holes on a sinking ship. Now they're going, okay, I have everything that I need to. Now let me think of like my backup plan. So they have a backup plan B and C, especially like around turnovers. So they don't just have like that one cleaner that they rely on that does an amazing job. They now have backup cleaner B and C who can come in and save the day, especially like in peak season when things are a little bit chaotic or if someone calls in sick. They have that in place. And they're also looking at all of the data that's available to them, right? They're looking at like their readiness rate. They're looking at reoccurring issues on a property and resolving them quickly rather than allowing them to continue. They're looking at just everything that's available to them just to take their business to the next level.
Fantastic. Yeah, that consistency and having the backup plan and even a backup plan for the backup plan sounds like a great tip to me. Cristina, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you for joining us on Turnover Tactics.
Thank you. This is great.
All right, that's a wrap for this episode of Turnover Tactics. Huge thanks to Cristina Vascil there for her insight on the STR tech stack. Don't forget, if you're ready to stop the chaos and start treating your operations like a profit center, get in touch with Turno, the all-in-one cleaning and turnover management platform built specifically for short-term rental hosts. With their global cleaner marketplace, automated scheduling, and real-time updates, you'll never stress about turnovers again. Whether you manage one property or 100, Turno helps you stay guest ready effortlessly. Visit turno.com for further details, scan the QR code if you're watching on YouTube, or click the link in the show notes to get started. It's time to let Turno take over. And remember, for more vacation rental education, head to houseplanet.club, where you can sign up for our newsletter, listen to our podcasts, and download a suite of ebooks for hosts and property managers. Thanks for tuning in to Turnover Tactics. Until next time, happy hosting.